A poor black woman walks into Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. She has no idea that part of her body will outlive her by 70 years. She will die in a few months. Her cells will not. Her name is Henrietta Lacks. She's 30 years old, mother of 5 children, tobacco farmer's wife. She feels a knot growing inside her. Something is wrong. The doctors examine her. Cervical cancer, aggressive, deadly. They take a sample of her tumor. No explanation, no consent. Just another patient in the colored ward. She goes home. The cancer spreads. She comes back for radiation. The pain gets worse. The doctors keep taking samples. She never knows. In a lab upstairs, scientist George Guy receives her cells. He places them in a petri dish. He adds nutrients. He waits. 24 hours later, something impossible happens. Her cells double, then double again and again. Every human cell he's ever tested dies within days. Not these. These cells are hungry. They multiply faster than anything he's ever seen. They refuse to stop. They are immortal. He names them after her, HeLa, Henrietta Lacks. In the lab, they turn her into 5 letters. October 4th, 1951, Henrietta Lacks dies. She is buried in an unmarked grave in Clover, Virginia. Her family mourns. Her children cry.
But in that lab, her cells keep dividing. Before HeLa, medical research moved at a crawl. Scientists couldn't keep human cells alive long enough to test anything. Vaccines took decades. Cancer research stalled. Every experiment died with the cells. Then HeLa changes everything. In glass bottles and tiny dishes, her cells multiply. They never stop. Scientists are shocked. They have never seen human cells like this before. George Guy doesn't keep them to himself. He ships HeLa cells to labs around the world, free, thousands of vials, to anyone who asks. Jonas Salk needs to test his polio vaccine. Children are dying. Parents are terrified. Swimming pools close. Playgrounds empty. He needs human cells, millions of them. He gets HeLa. The cells grow so fast, labs can barely keep up. They mass-produce HeLa in factory-like conditions, bottles and bottles of Henrietta's cells. Salk tests his vaccine on HeLa. It works. The polio vaccine is declared safe. Children line up for shots. A generation is saved. No one mentions Henrietta Lacks. Her family doesn't know. They don't know that parts of their mother are traveling to labs in England, Germany, Japan, Russia. They don't know scientists are using her cells to test chemotherapy drugs, to study viruses, to understand how cancer spreads, to map the human genome. The 1960s. Scientists inject HeLa cells into cancer patients without telling them. They want to see if cancer is contagious. It's not, but they never asked permission. The 1970s. A scientist contacts Henrietta's family. He wants blood samples. For research, he says. Her children don't understand. Research on what? Your mother's cells. What cells? That's when they find out. Their mother has been in labs for 20 years. No one told them. No one asked. No one paid. Her children grow up in poverty. They can't afford health insurance. They can't afford to see doctors. Somewhere, companies are making billions using HeLa cells. Medical breakthroughs, patents, profits. No one asks the family anything. Her son, Lawrence, will say later,
"She's the most important person in the world and her family living in poverty. If our mother's so important to science, why can't we get health insurance?"
The scientists didn't mean to be cruel. They just didn't see her as a person. To them, she was cells in a dish, a tool, a product. Not a mother, not a wife, not a human being with a name. The 1980s and 90s. HeLa cells helped develop treatments for leukemia, Parkinson's, HIV. They're used to test how cells respond to radiation, to toxins, to new drugs. They're sent into space to see how zero gravity affects human tissue. More than 50 million metric tons of HeLa cells have been grown. If you could stack them all, they would weigh more than 100 Empire State Buildings. All from one woman, one sample, taken without consent. The 2000s. Scientists map the HeLa genome. They publish it publicly. Now anyone can see Henrietta Lacks' genetic code.
her family's genetic code. They find out from a reporter. Again, no one asked. COVID-19 shuts down the world. Scientists race to understand the virus. They need human cells to test on. They reach for HeLa. Henrietta Lacks, who died 70 years ago, helps scientists study the virus killing millions. Her cells test vaccines. They test treatments. They reveal how the virus attacks human tissue. She saves lives again, and her family still struggles to afford health care. There are more HeLa cells alive today than when Henrietta Lacks was living. They are in nearly every medical research lab on Earth. Johns Hopkins, where her cells were taken, now has an institute named after her. In 2013, her family finally gets some control over how her genetic information is used. It took 62 years. In 2021, her family sues a biotech company for profiting from her cells without permission. 70 years after her death, they finally fight back. But the cells are still out there, multiplying, dividing, living.
Henrietta Lacks was born in 1920. She picked tobacco as a child. She loved to dance. She painted her toenails red. She had 5 children who needed their mother. She died at 31 years old in a hospital that treated black patients in a basement ward. She never knew she would become the most important woman in modern medicine. She never gave permission. She never saw a dime. Her cells have been bought and sold for decades. They've generated billions of dollars. They've saved millions of lives. But she lies in an unmarked grave in Virginia. For years, no one even knew where. Right now, somewhere in a lab you'll never see, her cells are dividing. They've been dividing every day since 1951. Scientists call them immortal, but immortality has a cost. Henrietta Lacks paid with her body. Her family paid with their grief and poverty. We paid nothing. We just took the cures. She is the invisible woman behind every medical breakthrough you've ever heard of. The polio vaccine, chemotherapy, gene mapping, COVID research, all built on cells stolen from a black woman who died thinking she was nobody. Henrietta Lacks is dead, but her cells are still alive. Right now, in labs you will never see, helping scientists you will never meet, creating treatments that might save your life someday. This is the price behind the cures that save millions. One woman's body, taken without asking, used without thanks, alive without rest. 70 years after her death, Henrietta Lacks is still giving. We owe her everything. We gave her nothing.